The first thing I asked was, is this person a stranger or do they know you? And the answer came back immediately. Home. This is not someone far away from your life. This is someone who has been close enough to know your personal business. They've been in your space. They know what your private life looks like, your routines, your relationships, your vulnerabilities, the things you don't show publicly. That kind of knowledge doesn't come from a distance. This person had access. Now, Knight of Wands tells me who they are by nature. This is someone intense, impulsive. They move fast, they feel things hard, and they don't think before they act. There's a restlessness to them. They can't sit still, they get bored easily, they jump from one thing to the next. They can be charming when they want something, flirtatious even, but there's no consistency. One week they're your biggest supporter, the next week they've moved on to someone else. And when they feel rejected, when they feel like you've closed a door on them, that intensity turns sharp. They don't process rejection, they react to it. Page of Pentacles narrows the connection. This isn't someone you grew up with. This isn't old family. This person entered your life through something practical and relatively recent. A job, a training, a business connection, a financial situation, an opportunity, maybe a new personal relationship that started with a practical reason. They came in looking harmless, maybe even helpful. They may have approached you with an offer, a question, a small gift, something that seemed innocent. But they were newer to your life than they acted, and they were younger in maturity than they appeared. So here's the profile the cards are giving me. Someone who entered your world through a newer connection, gained access to your private life quickly, and had the kind of personality that burns hot and unpredictable. This person got close fast, and you may not have questioned it because the context seemed normal. Work, money, shared circumstances, or a developing personal bond. But the access they gained was deeper than the relationship justified. Now I asked, what did this person actually do? What method did they use? Air. Not fire, not earth, not water, air. That tells me this didn't come through a physical object or a complicated ritual. This moved through words. Spoken words, whispered words, typed words, gossip, repeated conversations, messages, group chats, things said behind your back, things said with intention. Air is the element of communication, but it's also the element of thought. And thought, when it's directed at someone repeatedly with negative intent, creates pressure. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but you feel it. What I'm picking up is this. The harm was delivered through a combination of deliberate negative talk about you and sustained mental focus directed at you. That could look like someone constantly thinking about you with resentment, constantly talking about you to others, constantly sending you negative energy through words, whether those words were said to your face, said behind your back, or said in a prayer, a rant, a whispered curse, or just the same bitter thought repeated over and over. Air moves invisibly. You don't know it's there until you feel the pressure on your chest. Now, why? Synchronicity answers that, and it's a strange one. This person didn't just dislike you out of nowhere. Something happened that made them believe you and their life were entangled. They noticed patterns, repeated encounters, overlapping timing, things that happened to you right when things fell apart for them. Maybe you got something when they lost something. Maybe you entered a space they wanted. Maybe a relationship, a job, an opportunity came to you at the exact moment it slipped away from them. And instead of seeing that as life moving in different directions, they became fixated on it. They started reading signs into everything. They convinced themselves that you were somehow taking what was meant for them, that your success or your peace was directly connected to their failure or their pain. That's not normal jealousy. Normal jealousy is, I wish I had what they have. This is, they have what's mine, and the universe keeps showing me proof. That fixation, that pattern watching, that constant comparison is what turned resentment into action. They didn't just feel envious, they felt cosmically wronged. And once someone believes the universe is confirming their grievance, they give themselves permission to act on it. This is the part I need you to really hear, because these 3 cards together explain what you've been experiencing. And once you understand it, it's going to lose some of its power over you. The body card with marks across the chest, that's pressure on your emotional center, your heart space. Not just metaphorically, you may have physically felt this. Tightness in the chest, a heaviness you can't explain. Anxiety that hits you suddenly with no clear reason. A feeling like something is sitting on you. Your confidence has been affected. Your ability to trust yourself, other people, your own decisions has been shaken. And it didn't come all at once. It came in layers. One layer of doubt, then another, then another. Like someone pressing down slowly, so gradually you barely noticed the weight accumulating until you could barely breathe under it. Wildness tells me what that pressure was designed to produce. The goal was not to make you sad. Sadness they could ignore. The goal was to make you reactive, unstable, impulsive, to make you act out of character, lose your temper, say things you'd regret, make decisions that don't make sense, behave in ways that other people would look at and say, "What's wrong with them?" Think about it. Have there been moments recently where you reacted to something and afterward thought, "That wasn't me. That reaction was too big for the situation"? That's not your personality breaking. That's the influence working. If they can make you look unhinged, they can use that as proof that you were the problem all along. And rest. This is where the real damage lands. Your sleep, your peace, your ability to recover. You're waking up tired. You may be having dreams that leave you unsettled. Your mind won't stop running at night, replaying situations, rehearsing conversations, cycling through anxiety on repeat. You can't turn it off. And because you can't rest, you can't heal. Because you can't heal, you stay reactive. Because you stay reactive, you confirm the story they're building about you. It's a cycle, and it was designed to be a cycle. So the progression is emotional pressure first, instability second, exhaustion third. Pressure makes you vulnerable. Vulnerability makes you wild. Wildness makes you tired. Tired keeps you vulnerable. That's the trap. And recognizing it is the first step to breaking it. Now here's where it turns in your favor, because the same personality traits that allowed this person to do harm are the traits that will expose them. Play. This person hides behind humor. They're the type to say something cutting and then follow it with, "I'm just joking." They treat serious things as entertainment. They drop private information into casual conversations like it's nothing. A joke here, a comment there, something they shouldn't know mentioned like it's common knowledge. And they're watching you when they do it. They want to see your reaction. That playfulness is a mask, and if you pay attention, you'll notice that their jokes always contain something they shouldn't know, or something that's a little too specific, or something that only makes sense if they've been talking about you privately. Mixologist. They maintain different versions of reality for different audiences. To one group, they say one thing. To another, they say something different. They adjust the story depending on who they're talking to, and they're comfortable doing it because they've done it for a long time. They mix truth with invention, just enough real detail to make the fiction believable. They pass information between circles that shouldn't be connected. And every time they do, they leave a trail. Not because they want to, but because that's mathematically how it works. The more people you tell different things to, the more likely 2 of those people will eventually compare notes. Lost. And this is where they fall. They're going to lose track. They've maintained too many stories, played too many sides, adjusted too many details, and their memory is going to fail them. They'll tell someone a detail that contradicts what they told someone else. They'll send a message to the wrong person. They'll reference something they shouldn't know in front of someone who's paying attention. It won't be a dramatic public exposure. It'll be a careless mistake, a slip, the kind of thing that makes someone tilt their head and say, "Wait, how did you know that?" That's how they get caught. Not through confession, not through confrontation, through their own carelessness. They've been mixing so many drinks for so many people that sooner or later they're going to pour the wrong one in front of the wrong person. What you should watch for: contradictory stories reaching you from different sources, a joke that contains a detail only you should know, someone acting nervous when questioned about something they said casually before, a message that arrives in the wrong place, an old conversation, screenshot, or record that resurfaces when they thought it was buried. The evidence exists. Their job was to keep it hidden. Their personality makes that impossible. 3 cards came up for your action steps, and they form a clear sequence: recover, release, restore. The finder of lost things. First thing you do is take inventory. Something has gone missing from your life, and it may not be a physical object. It may be your clarity, your confidence, your sense of what's true. Go back to the timeline. Think about when you started feeling different, when the sleep got bad, when the anxiety started, when your behavior began shifting. Look at who entered your life around that time, or who changed their behavior around that time. Check old messages. Look at what gifts, photographs, or reminders from this person are still in your space. Not because every object carries a curse, but because some of those things carry emotional weight, and emotional weight keeps a connection alive whether you want it to or not. You're recovering the facts. You're piecing together the timeline. That's not paranoia. That's investigation. You're finding what was lost, and the first thing that was lost was your awareness of what was happening. Cupid crushed beneath a large foot. This is the hardest step, but the most important one. The emotional bond has to break. Whether this person was a romantic interest, someone who had feelings for you, someone you had feelings for, or someone who used emotional closeness to get access, the attachment is still active. And as long as it's active, the influence has a channel. You need to stop checking on this person. Stop replaying conversations with them. Stop wondering what they're doing, what they're saying, who they're talking to. Every time you think about them with anger, fear, or longing, you're keeping the line open. That foot on Cupid, that's what's been happening to your heart. Someone has been standing on it. And part of the healing is accepting that you have to remove them from your emotional world, not just your physical one. Block where you need to block. Delete where you need to delete. And most importantly, stop feeding the bond with your attention. Your attention is your power. Take it back. Lavender. And then you rest. For real. This card isn't symbolic. It's practical. Clean your home. Open the windows. Let air move through your space. Fresh air, not the stale kind that's been carrying this weight. Wash your bedding. Take a shower or a bath with intention, not just hygiene, but a deliberate act of washing this off of you. If you pray, pray. If you meditate, meditate. If you just need silence, take silence. Light something that smells clean. Lavender, whatever brings you peace. Create a nighttime routine that isn't scrolling through your phone looking for signs of what this person is doing. The goal is to reset your nervous system. You've been running on stress and broken sleep for too long. Lavender is the cards telling you, the war is not yours to fight right now. Your job is to recover. Recover the facts, release the attachment, restore your peace. In that order, not the other way around. You can't heal while you're still emotionally tangled with them, and you can't untangle until you've seen clearly what happened. 2 cards for the ending, and they're 2 of the most powerful cards you could draw for this question. Death. And I don't mean a person dying. I mean an ending so complete that there's no going back to what was. Something in this person's life is going to collapse. An alliance they depended on, a relationship that protected them, a position that gave them access or influence, a friendship that kept them connected to the circles they've been manipulating. Something is going to end, and when it does, the structure they built around you falls with it. Death doesn't negotiate. It doesn't happen halfway. When this card shows up, the ending is permanent. They will lose access to something they took for granted, and once it's gone, they cannot rebuild what they had. Leader. And here's the trigger. Someone with authority steps in. This could be a boss, a parent, an elder, a manager, an official, someone whose word carries weight and who is not susceptible to the games this person plays. This person either makes a decision, sets a firm boundary, or exposes the situation in a way that can't be talked around. But leader is also about you. It's the cards telling you that part of this ending is activated by your own authority. When you stop engaging, when you draw the line, reclaim your space, and refuse to participate in the cycle, you become the leader of your own situation. And that shift in power is what the instigator cannot survive. Their entire method depends on your emotional participation, your reactions, your anxiety, your sleepless nights, your attention. That's the fuel. When the fuel stops, the fire dies. The reversal isn't dramatic revenge. It isn't a spiritual punishment from above. It's simpler than that and more devastating. They lose access. They lose influence. They lose control of the story. And the thing they feared most, the thing that started all of this, happens anyway. You move forward. You recover. You rest. And they're left standing in the wreckage of something they built entirely by themselves. That's your reading. I want to leave you with this. What was sent to you was real. The pressure on your chest, the broken sleep, the moments where you didn't recognize yourself. Those weren't random. Someone who was close enough to know your vulnerable points used words, intention, and sustained focus to push you off balance. And they did it because they watched your life and convinced themselves that what you had belonged to them. But the same recklessness that made them act is what's going to expose them. They've already said too much to too many people. The contradictions are there. The evidence is there. You don't need to go looking for war. You need to go looking for your peace. Recover, release, restore. The ending is already in motion. Your only job now is to take your power back and let the rest collapse on its own. That's it.